AEW was on Thursday night, August 27th. And they started right out with a gauntlet match between tag teams to determine who will face the champions on the gigantic pay-per-view All Out, which is this year a description of where most of the fans are, correct?
Correct. All Out.
All Out. And the first pairing in the gauntlet match was the Young Bucks versus Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall. And Jericho on color, by the way. And I don't want to start out just slandering my old friend Chris. Remember how we were saying, God, his commentary is great. We love it. It's funny. Months ago, this is, he brings the fucking energy of the show up, blah, blah, blah. Is it my imagination, or has he changed to trying to, in a backhanded heel way, praise all the mud show fuckwits that he's having to interact with and try to get them over, and it's ruining him just being fucking funny and knocking all these dumb shits? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, he sounds like a company man, if that's what you mean, but he's also just screaming the entire time.
Well, that he's trying too hard, but also he's given the backhanded compliments. Well, I never dreamed they'd be as over as they are. Or, I've got to say that best friends are really great. Or, well, I know that Orange Cassidy proved something, but still, nevertheless, no. He was entertaining before because he'd take these fucking goofs, just like I do, and tell the truth about them. It's not his fault that they signed a bunch of mud show dipshits and that they're trying to use them on a national television program. Let Jericho be entertaining. Anyway, Young Bucks versus Dustin and QT, they started out actually wrestling. And they had a wrestling match, maybe as respect for Dustin being in the match. Dustin, he's in the best shape of his fucking career, but technically and logically, for the most part, this was a decent match. And I see now why I think the Young Bucks do the shit they do. And it goes back to what I've said before. They do the gymnastics and the goofy shit and the stuff you can't follow, and there's the smoke and mirrors and whole 9 yards and they're allowed to do it. When they weren't allowed to do that, they didn't get over. And then when they said, well, we're just going to disregard everything everybody tells us not to do and do what we want to do, they got over. And the reason why is because when they try to wrestle, you have to fucking scoff at it because it looks like kids dressed as the Rock and Roll Express doing wrestling moves, and it just devalues what the real talent does when the real men do it. So they do all this gymnastic bullshit, and for the people who don't like wrestling and like whatever the fuck this stuff is, they get over with them. But they should not have ever been allowed to do that shit to begin with. Sometimes people just have to be told, you can't get over as a wrestler, and you do not have a spot in the wrestling business the way it is supposed to be done. We are not going to change our business just so you two fucking middle-aged middle schoolers can get over. It's not, we'll find somebody else that can get over doing it the right way. That's why they didn't get over until they found a mark that allowed them to do whatever they wanted. First in Japan to an extent, and then in Ring of Honor, where Ring of Honor, because they were struggling, let them rape their entire company and leave it. And now this fucking Tony Khan's the fucking mark. So anyway, besides that, technically it was decent for the Young Bucks, but it was a babyface versus babyface match, so it accomplished little other than burying the losing team, which in this case is Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, who are both twice the size of each one of these idiots. When a babyface team beats a babyface team clean, it just indicates that the babyface team that got beat is not as good as the other one. So it didn't do anything for the Bucks. It just buried QT and Dustin. But it was the closest thing I've seen to the Bucks actually having a wrestling match all the way through. I mean, did I miss anything?
I mean, I'm sure maybe you've missed other matches they've had where they've
I mean, in this match, did I miss anything?
No,
commenting on anything?
All the matches kind of blended together because it was Gauntlet. I will just say, once again, the most ridiculous thing in wrestling is Matt Jackson doing power moves. And we joke about him being Road Warrior Buck. It's true. He sells nothing. He has unlimited power. He's just half the size of everyone else. It's so ridiculous. I'm not a fan of them or their style of wrestling. I'm really not.
The next team comes, another babyface match. Although, they're babyfaces allegedly. I can't imagine they're popular. Apparently they are. Once again, we've mentioned the balls in the step stool in Germany. But best friends. They're so lopsided with tag teams, and they're so fucked up on their babyface and heel fucking delineations that they can't even have a gauntlet match with 4 fucking tag teams. They've only got 1 heel team in it. So anyway, every week, to me, Trent's hair and body looks better, and fuck Taylor's hair and body looks worse. His muffin top is now Guinness Book of World Record size, like the whole bakery teamed up to fucking bake this muffin top on Taylor. But they could have used Chuck Taylor's fucking mother instead of Trent's, because he's already a fucking dipshit that hatchet head that nobody likes. Trent, they didn't have to bury him any fucking deeper. Anyway, they didn't have Dustin and QT in there to keep it on track, so this got sloppier, made less sense, and included more gymnastics. At one point, Balding Buck and Trent fought on the apron for, I rewound it back and then got my watch with the second hand, 35 seconds. The partners were not doing anything. The corpse referee was right there staring at him, telling him to get back in the ring, and never even tried to start counting. He just stares at him. Then Road Warrior Buck made a fucking comeback on the other baby faces. So you have to put comeback in quotation marks when a baby face is making it on a baby face. If there's nobody to cheer against, there's nobody to cheer for. So it's just a mess. They all did more shit to each other. The simultaneous cold tags. Not just a cold tag, but simultaneous cold tags at the same time, one to Balding Buck and one to fuck Taylor. So they came in and did some more sloppy shit. Did you see the one Taylor? It's allegedly a double team move on a tag. Trent gets behind Balding Buck, and Taylor gets in front of him, and Taylor puts his foot under Balding Buck's chin, and then took a flat back bump, fell straight on his back. Like that was an impact under Balding Buck's chin so that Trent could take him over backwards in a German suplex. It looked ridiculous. And this just got rottener and rottener as it went, and I wish they would either bury or cremate that fucking referee before he starts to smell. Because he already stinks, but he's going to decompose any time now. Out of nowhere, Adam Page came out as the Bucks were going for one of their finishes they've named after their Uncle Dave, and held Road Warrior Buck's foot so that one of the fucking friends could roll Balding Buck up. And the Bucks do a job for an underneath middle card preliminary fucking rotten babyface tag team, because Adam Page, their fellow member of the Elite, came out and held their foot. And there's been issues between Page and the rest of the Elite for some time, right? But was there some instigation for him doing this particular thing at this particular time that I missed? And why are we to assume that this is a cataclysmic occurrence? After months and months of building, is Page going to turn on Olivier? Is Page going to switch heel? Is Page going to leave the Elite? Are they going to kick him out? He comes out and holds Road Warrior Buck's foot. What the fuck is going on here? Tell me, Brian Last.
Well, first let me say, bad match. I really didn't like it. Not a fan of Best Friends at all. I mean, look, they've established that FTR gets along with Adam Page. They drink beers together. And they really did. I mean, the holding
he
the
just
foot,
appeared. There was no interaction beforehand.
he just ran out of nowhere. They had a wide shot they eventually showed where he just all of a sudden ran into camera frame and held his leg. Not exactly sure why. Also, if you're going to cost him the match, he held his leg, prevented him from doing the double team move, the Meltzer driver, but the other guy had already been rolled up. Like, he prevented him from jumping in, not to prevent the pin from happening, but preventing him from participating in the move that would have led to a potential pin. Made no sense.
Well, there'll be more between these folks later on. But
and then they did some kind of makeup on him, on his eyes. I don't know if you noticed, there was like a red ring around his eyes.
I didn't notice this.
Yeah, I mean, they even said it on commentary. It was something different with his eyes. Yeah, all of a sudden it looked like they must have the makeup person do a red ring around his eyes, because obviously he's so drunk that he did this. And they yelled at him, and he was just comatose. He just stood there and took it and then slinkered off.
Anyway, finally out comes FTR. And obviously, I see where they went with that finish, because obviously they'd be nuts to give us FTR versus the Young Bucks on free TV. But they couldn't come up with a quality tag team to beat the Young Bucks and then lose to FTR, and it had to be the fucking Best Friends.
Who? Who's the quality team they could have done it with?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They couldn't come up with one. And that's their fault. They've had a year to sign all these people. Anyway, FTR come out, and they start the match in the break. We had to see every single gruesome minute of these first two stinkers with the stench of grisly death on them. FTR gets in the goddamn ring. They go to break. They come back did you see at one point where the referee, trying to uphold the rules, said the referee told one of the guys that Dax wasn't the legal guy, and then counted anyway. He's not legal, and then dropped down and counted. But everything that FTR does, body language, facials, reactions, aggression, precision, the way they move around, they're so far ahead of the rest of these fucking goofs. It's not even close. But they get minutes to show what they can do with these two fucking mooches. After we've had to watch 20 minutes of kids playing with each other, we get less than 5 minutes of fucking FTR. And the announcers, did you hear them actually comment on, well, we know that FTR got put in their contracts that their matches have to have rules. Is that the most insane sounding thing that could ever be said by an announcer? These athletes in this particular sport are the ones in the company that specifically got put in their contract that the matches have to be contested under rules. You fucking mark morons. Anyway, Dax got the tap out on Fuck Taylor, and it was flatter than 4 o'clock. So now they're bringing FTR down to their fucking level instead of the other way around. There's my goddamn fucking commentary on that. Quote, comment on any of this shit.
I don't have too much to add other than FTR stand out from everyone else because they're so good. Tully's now with them. They have matching jackets. I guess it's official that Tully's their manager. It was never explicitly said. And that's all I have to say about all that.